YouTube, sitting out here on the deer camp, wheeling on a stick. I'm waiting on killing time, waiting on time to go sit on the stand again. But a lot's been said about bug out bags and equipment and tools and what's the best tool, what's the best axe, what's the best knife, what's the best pack. And I've already put my 2 cents in on all of that. I mean, it's whatever you're comfortable with and learn how to use. But today, as the title indicates, I'm going to talk about something I think is more important than equipment. And that is skill. I think if you have the proper skill, you could take anything and survive with it. I mean, I've kind of did a half jokingly, but it wasn't really a joke, a deal about the best survival knife, and said it was a flint rock. Well, if you have the skill, then you would survive very well with it. Our ancestors did it for thousands of years. So I think more important, like I said, is the skill to know how to survive, to know how to take that piece of rock and make a knife out of it, to take that stick and make a spear, take that stick and make a bow. Those skills are more important than equipment. And the only way to obtain those skills is get out. I don't care if it's in your backyard. If you live in an apartment complex, go to the park. I mean, you may not be able to build a fire, but at least you can go out there and whittle on a stick. Now, you got to take the right size knife, but you don't need a 6-inch Bowie knife to whittle on a stick. I mean, you could do it with a pocket knife, a little 3-inch blade thing. So I keep saying get out there and get out, and the reason I do that is because I know that knowledge is power, but skill is survival. So you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have the skill, it's not going to do you any good. So you have to practice these things. You have to know how to get out and rub 2 sticks together and build a fire. And I mean, knowing how to do it is different than being able to do it. Another thing is, when you're talking about skills, I mean, we could, folks, very easily, our economy could come crashing down. I mean, all it takes is one little hiccup. And in my opinion, it's all planned, because everybody's wanting to go to this, or the ones in power is wanting to go to a one world order, and in order to do that, we got to have a one world currency and all this other stuff. So I think all this is planned. But unless you want to play their game and abide by their rules, then you have to have an alternate plan. And I think that, as in all other countries, when they have a financial collapse, bartering becomes a commodity. So the next question is, do you have a skill that you can barter with? Somebody say, well, I'm an electrician. Well, I mean, it could get so bad that we don't have electricity. How are you going to pay for it? They're not going to give it to you free. Another one might say, well, I work on appliances. Well, that's, again, if you don't have electricity, then that's not a skill that you can barter with. Think real hard about what your skill set is, and will that do you in a barter society? If there was no power, no electricity, in other words, and would your skill set be something that would be in demand? A carpenter. You can use hand tools and hand saws and things like that, but you have to be proficient in those type of tools to say that you're a carpenter. You can't say, well, I'm a carpenter, and go out and use nail guns and circular saws because you're not going to have those anymore. But can you go out and use a handsaw and an auger and a bit and a hammer and build something? Now that's a skill set. Can you take a forge and make a knife? Now that's a skill set. So I think that above all, I mean, everybody's running to all this gold and silver and all this other as a backup to, and that's all well and good if you have a lot of money that you're trying to protect. I wouldn't put all of your portfolio into it. You know, hard assets is something you might be a good idea if you can get land or property at a reasonable price and hold the title to it. May be a good idea, but maybe owning a little gold and a little silver, maybe that'd be a good thing too. But more importantly, I think that a skill set that you can trade in, more than one too. Are you a hunter? I mean, we never talk about that skill set, but are you a hunter? Can you go out? I'm not talking about on these ranches where everything's canned. Can you go out into a wilderness area, find the game, kill it, skin it, and bring it back and use it as a bartering tool? Can you do that? What if this is a long term, we're talking years, and ammunition like Mad Max? I mean, he searched forever to get that 12 gauge shell for that double barrel shotgun he always carried around. I mean, if it came down to that, could you carve yourself a bow and some arrows or a spear and go out and kill something, skin it, and bring it back? I mean, just some food for thought, or I hope you have food. And I think more important than equipment, and yes, folks, equipment is important, no doubt about it. Good equipment that's going to hold up, but eventually equipment is going to fail. I don't care how good it is. Eventually it will wear out. It will deteriorate. Knives will, you will sharpen it enough over time, it will wear out. So there has to be a way to get more through a barter system, or you have to be able to make your own. So if you're going to get serious about the bug out scenario and the prepping and all this other stuff, then let's get serious. Okay, let's stop playing at it. Really think about this stuff. Storing food up in your basement is not going to get you long term. You may survive for a few months, you may survive for a year, but what you going to do after the food runs out? What you going to do after bandits come in and rob you? So, skill set is more important than all that. You have to have a skill set. All right, I appreciate you for joining me on this. I hope it gets you to thinking and get a little bit more prepared. Because, folks, I really think this is the end game. I really do. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week or next year, but it is coming. I think it is coming within the next few years, maybe 2 or 3. It's not long. This is the powers that be will get it to where they can install this this new world government that they're so apt to install. And again, like I've said in other videos, it's not a party thing. It's not a Republican. It's not a Democrat. It's a global thing. It's a global agenda of a new world order. And so everybody is scrambling to be part of that, to get their little feet under the table, while all of us or sitting out here in the cold whittling on a stick. Wish it was cooler, but you get my point. I mean, it's a serious matter, and I think that we need to use this time wisely, get us prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually, and learn some skill sets that will benefit us long term. If there was no power, I mean, mechanic, come on, folks. That's not a skill set. I mean, it may get you by for a little while, but long term, it's not going to do you any good. You need to learn something like, pretend it was back in the 1800s before the Industrial Revolution. Okay, can you do any of that? Blacksmithing, harness work, leather work, tailoring, things that was important to people back then. Horseshoes, a horse farrier. Then can you do that today? Because it may come back down to back in the 1800s, and we may need those skill sets. And besides that, it's fun. So until the next one, you guys get out in the backyard, go whittle on a stick, sit and think about all this. If you do, take plenty of Band-Aids and lots of knives. We'll catch you again soon.